switch it up a bit, and with our topic and with our speaker, it will not be Josh today. Well, my name is Mark Woodworth. I am a registered health underwriter and consultant here at Helbling Benefits Consulting. I'll be playing the part of host during the webinar, and I'd like to get a few items out of the way before we begin. The mics on your computer will be muted, and for those of you who have called in, please mute your phone just so we avoid any interruptions. If you have any questions during the presentation, and we think we're going to have many today, please type them into the control panel on the right-hand side of the screen. We'll address those questions at the end of Jonathan's presentation. And of course, you're always welcome to email questions to us here at Helbling Benefit Consulting. And if you're having any issues with your audio, just give us a call here at the office. The number is on your screen, and we'll help you get that taken care of as well. All right. Well, many of you are familiar with our regular speaker, who is, of course, Attorney Josh Sears. However, we gave Josh the day off today. In fact, our topic today, he wouldn't be very good at it, which is good. He's a good attorney, but he's not an electronics kind of guy. Instead, we have Jonathan Edwards with us, and some of you had the pleasure of meeting Jonathan at our Employer Summit last month, and he is back today to provide a live demonstration of our online employee benefits system known as HRconnection. Jonathan is an expert on the system and has recently become a part of our team. So we're really thrilled to have access to such a wonderful tool like HRconnection, and of course we're always happy to show it off. Not long ago, online enrollment seemed like something that would be ages away or almost futuristic, but it is here today, and it's going to become more prevalent in the very near future. So it may not be right for absolutely everyone, and especially if you have under 50 employees, unless you're connected to a larger group. Some of you on the call today are connected to a larger group, so this does apply to you. But again, it may not be the best option for smaller companies. However, Jonathan is going to show us what the system looks like, what its capabilities are for collecting data and reporting, and also how it can help you report information to the federal government that they will soon be requiring, about a year down the road. So a little bit about Jonathan. He has partnered with Helbling Benefits Consulting as our electronic enrollment consultant. He spent the past 2 years with a company called the Barnett Group in Memphis, Tennessee as Director of Client Technology. Prior to being with Barnett, he worked for Zywave, which is the company that created HRconnection. So Jonathan knows this system very, very well. He also has an MBA from Freed-Hardeman University, and he's just an all-around very intelligent guy. We are so excited to have him join our staff, and in fact the rest of our staff has just really come to enjoy and appreciate Jonathan and his expertise as we embrace the future today. So we do believe, again, that we will have many questions today. Please type them into the box on the right-hand side, and we'll answer as many as possible. However, we will send out a Q&A to all attendees after the webinar, just going through the questions. And if we don't get to yours today, we will in that Q&A that's going to be emailed out. Okay. Wow, with all of that being said, I want to pass this off to Jonathan and have him take it from here. Jonathan?
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to go over the HRconnection platform with everybody this morning. Excited to show the capabilities of the system. The one thing that I will say is that with the 50 or so folks that are online with us today, this system is meant to be specific to each employer group. And so with that, I'll highlight the customization capabilities where there are several facets to the platform. It's all a la carte. It's we sit down and we analyze with you what is going to be the best option for your company to assist you in vacation tracking, online enrollment, organizing the company in a digital format, trying to, while not maybe taking the full leap to 100% paperless, but how close can we get to maximizing the efficiencies of your current office makeup. So HRconnection is developed by a company called Zywave. Zywave is based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then they created this platform several years ago and are continually updating it. And so Mark kind of touched on it just a little bit, but some of the pieces that I'll be showing will dabble into the requirements that you as an employer have in regards to reporting to the government. And obviously a big portion of that is the 6055 and 6056 requirements that will be reported beginning in 2016. So HRconnection is a web-based platform, HRconnection.com, that gives not only employers but also employees access to it 24 hours a day anywhere they have internet access. Each employee or administrator is given a unique username and password specific to them, where they're able to go online and log in to their own specific information at any time. So as I log in, you'll notice it's a very basic format. And I'm going to talk about it from an administrative standpoint, but also want to highlight that this is the look and feel as an administrator. You're going to get to see the changes that you make exactly how an employee is going to view it as well. So the only difference that an employer is going to see, or an administrator is going to see over an employee, are the vacation admin and admin tabs, and also this setup in display mode. So the first facet that I'd like to point out is the customization of the system. All of the tabs across the top are completely customizable to fit the language that you already have, the culture you already have in place within your organization. And so are the varying campaigns that can be instituted. One of the most prominent ideas to come forth in the wellness area are videos from a technology standpoint as we analyze how employer groups are reaching out to their employees. How can we have the biggest impact, on their claims, on the overall health and wellness, over employees having to take sick time? It's education through wellness. And so through this company intranet, you're able to provide employee communications, whether in print format or in video format, to employees on an ongoing basis. So in customizing the platform from an employer standpoint, it's as simple as clicking the setup mode. It does not take an IT degree. It is something very simple. Even though I manage it on the back end for you, we give you the ability to go in and change the campaigns that you want to change. So we build in stock campaigns. So if you want to change this campaign right here, I can come in, set a new campaign by simply selecting some of the stock campaigns that are already in place, set the time frame that I want it to be displayed, make any changes if I want to, or I can create my own custom by simply copying and pasting from a company document and then simply saving that document. And with that, I can set several months in advance of campaigns that will give fresh and unique information to all my employees. By simply switching back to the display mode, it shows me the campaigns. We want to give you a single resource to provide information to your employees. This is a company intranet that has other capabilities such as vacation tracking and online enrollment. So as we go across the top in the tabs, we can see the different avenues that you have to provide information to your employees. So as an employer, you're going to take a look at what are the questions that I'm asked on a regular basis. When I have a new hire, how large is the packet that I'm delivering to that new hire of information and content about their new employment with your company? So why not give one single resource where all of that information is stored, where we can send them not only when they're a new hire, but on an ongoing basis. What are the holidays and events that we have for the company? Do we take Veterans Day off? Do we take the day after Thanksgiving off? Give them one single location to go and locate that information. What about a company profile? When is the last time that you educated your employees on the background of the company? Do your employees have a single resource for their company contacts where they can go and get the information to know where to call? What about an employee directory? Do you have an easy-to-use location where employees can get information on contacting other employees within the organization? Again, every facet of the system can be turned on and off and is customized to meet the needs that you currently have. From a human resources standpoint, we want to focus on what are the documents, the items that you're constantly being asked for, such as a company handbook. A lot of employer groups have taken the step of providing the company handbook in a digital format, giving the employees one single location where they can access it at any time, and also putting a company handbook acknowledgement document here. So there's a one-page document that the employee prints off and signs and turns that one page into HR to let HR know, I've received, I know where the document, the employee handbook is, and I've had access to it. What about the forms that we're asked on a regular basis? Where is my expense report template? What about education assistance? Do we have an adoption credit that is sponsored through the company? Where are those forms that you're asked on a regular basis for, and where can we put them in one single location to store that information? And then from a vacation tracking standpoint, as I go back to the main page, we want to give your employees the ability to request off. An email goes directly to their assigned vacation approver, so you're able to track all of that information, whether it's on a start of the year number or on an accrual basis. Your employees have a digital place to go and request their vacation off instead of just simply keeping, whether it's on an Excel sheet or what you're, some folks already have it within their payroll system, and that's great. Again, the vacation tracking could simply be turned off. But for those that aren't, and for those that are currently keeping it on an Excel sheet or aren't keeping very good records of it, this gives you a digital, reportable vacation tracking system that allows you to assign specific vacation trackers to different benefit classes. So before we get into the online enrollment aspect of it, I want to dabble into how the employees are kept. That is through the employee manager. With this platform, we build in all of your plan data and load in all of your employees. We load all the employees in via census, and we can load the dependents in as well. And so the first time that the employees log in, we want majority of their information to be in there, but also we give them the ability to change that information to update HR's records. And that would be the case if somebody has moved. It is amazing how often we sit down at open enrollment time and they start to give us a new address, and it's been 6 months since they've moved. And all the information that has been mailed out to that employee has been going to the old address. So give them a single location where, again, they can log in online 24 hours a day, process those changes, and then they're able to automatically be updated within the HR platform. So employees are located within the system, and within each employee, we can capture whatever data you as the employer want to capture, and then, of course, all the information that is needed to organize all of the enrollments for all of the benefits that are offered to that employee. So basic information, benefit class. The employee is only going to see the benefits information that is supposed to be offered to them. And so if you have a senior class, an executives class, a part-time class that have varying rates across the board, the employee will only see the rates that are subject to them. We're able to capture employment info, employee information, address, marital status. If we can keep employee photos as well. A lot of larger companies love to take advantage of this for a human resource department that has to handle more employees than they're staffed for. It's a great way to organize the employee base. And then, of course, direct reporting allows you to say who is going to be the vacation approver for this certain individual. We can track all of the dependent information within the system. Again, every bit of information collected can be reported in any format that you need to put it into. So now that we've captured the basic information that we've entered for the employee, when they first log in, typically we set it up to be enrolled out during open enrollment time. They will notice this Time to Enroll button. Once they select the Time to Enroll button, their benefit offering will come up before them. These are preloaded into the system with, again, the rates that are specific to the benefit class with which they're assigned. And it allows us to capture, whereas each benefit typically has a large booklet and an application to go with it, we're able to capture all of that data in one single swoop, and then we send it on to the carriers in the digital format that they requested it. So what we do is we take the legwork of collecting applications off of your hands, and we communicate that digitally to the carriers. So a lot of groups I know we've spoken with up there are still either selecting an application and mailing it in, or taking an application and going to each carrier website and entering that information, and that stops now with this system. So the employee, where action is required, because it says action required, I'm not able to confirm the life event that I've created, which is open enrollment. And so the employee would come in, check the pencil, and they're simply going to work their way down the list of the benefits that are offered, selecting the rate that would apply to them. So if I want the employee and child rate, I would take my spouse off. That includes my 2 children, elect and continue, simply working my way down the list. If I want to look at specific plan details, again, they're all built into the system, an explanation of who can and who cannot be covered, the benefit items that apply specifically to it, and then plan documents, able to pull down a plan document at any time. And I really think the focus should be on, when we have these open enrollment meetings, these employees are handed a packet of information on your medical, your dental, your vision, and all of your voluntary benefits. But then, how often do they lose that information within a couple days? And they rely on either the Human Resources Department to provide them new information, or they simply go throughout the year uneducated on the true value of the benefit plan that is offered to them and that they've elected. And it's not until you have an emergency when you go to the hospital and you say, I don't remember what my ER copay is, or what my family deductible is, or what's in network, what's out of network. With this platform, we're giving them one single location where that information is stored and updated in real time so that it's pertinent to the information that they're currently enrolled in. So as I'm working down the row here, I've elected family coverage. I've elected the dependents that I want to be enrolled. Gone through the medical, the dental, the vision. Is it company paid benefit? But we still want them to let us know which dependents need to be covered. Of course, we set this system up to be specific to whatever benefits are offered within your organization. Group life insurance, the only thing we need to know is who are the beneficiaries going to be, primary, secondary. We're simply working our way down all of the benefits. Company paid benefits, even if they're not paying for it, we want them to know what the benefit is. Employers are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars providing these company-paid benefits, and the employees don't even know that they're provided to them, besides the once a year where they're said the company pays for long-term disability or short-term disability. Again, let's give them one location to let them know all of the benefits that are provided to them. We can input 401k, HSA contribution, any benefits that are offered, employee assistance programs, we can track it in the system, even if they don't have to make an enrollment. If it's just something we want to communicate to employees, like a telehealth or something to that effect, we can build it into the system. So once I've completed all my elections, I come back now. I'm no longer action required. All my elections are pending, and I can confirm my life event elections. It's going to ask me to take a second look real quick, make sure all of the information is correct. it's giving me an effective date, and it would give me an option to sign as well after I print. Okay, the elections have been confirmed. Would I like to print it? Yes or no? And if there is a specific document that needs to be filled out, a lot of life insurance platforms that have a guarantee issue, if they elect above that guarantee issue amount, we could input a document that would need to be filled out, such as a health questionnaire that would be required. So they get that pop-up if they've elected a benefit that is required. So once I've made those elections, we can see that I have medical and dental that I have elected, employer-sponsored coverage, and so if I make these elections, in October, or November, it'll show me my current elections, and then it will show me my future elections as well, the ones that I've elected that would take effect on 12/1. From an HR standpoint, it's going to give me also a single document to print off that lets me know all of the elections that have been selected by each employee. These can be run on a company-wide basis or on a one-off basis. So in this case, I get one single page that gives me all of their elections, a monthly deduction amount, or an annual cost. And again, you can have that employee sign it and keep that in their employee file if you want a second level of security that they've elected the elections. When the benefits are built in, we allocate if we want them to be displayed on a per pay period basis or on a monthly basis. So again, a lot of employer groups, their employees prefer to see it. They're used to seeing what would come out of a paycheck on a biweekly basis, on a weekly basis. So we can allocate that to match the pay periods for your company as well.
Jonathan?
Yes.
On that summary, it does show what the employee's contributions are. Does or can it show what the employer's contributions are as well?
It is. It can be completely customized to show really whatever we want to show. So a lot of groups will have it simply show what the employee deduction is, but we do build into the system what the employer payment is. That's a great way, of course, through all of the data captured in the system, we're able to build total compensation statements as well to show those employees the total value of the benefits package, those benefits I was talking about that sometimes they don't really recognize that they have until they need it. This is a great way to show that value on a year-round basis. So another portion of HRconnection that I want to show real quick is the mobile aspect of it. And I'll pull this over here real quick. It has a mobile website as well. And so what I see a lot with the groups that use the system is we can get them to log in online on a one-time basis when they're using it for that open enrollment. But most folks are using mobile media. They're using mobile technology such as a cell phone or an iPad on an ongoing basis. And so with that, the vacation tracking, the employee directory, and their specific plan information are available to them on the mobile website, mobile or m.hrconnection.com. I have it saved on mine as an app on the front of my iPhone screen, and so I can log in. If I have to go to the emergency room real quick and I'm not positive what the medical information is, I can log in and see my specific medical plan. I can see what the eligibility, what the benefit items are, what the copay should be. In real time, I can get that information no matter where I'm at, what's in network versus out of network. So it really, we see a lot of traffic on the mobile website because after folks have already enrolled, they're going on to capture that information, or they're going in to request time off, to send an email through the system that says, you know what, I need to go on vacation tomorrow. I can send an email. It goes directly to my vacation approver. Vacation approver has a direct link to go in and either approve or deny. They're able to track records of the reasons why they're approving or reason why they're denying. So it allows you as an employer to capture all of that information in a HIPAA-compliant format. It's username and password protected, specific to each employee, and very easy to utilize. So the way that the system typically is rolled out is we come and we sit down during your open enrollment presentation, and we'll go through about a 15-minute overview, similar to what we've done today, where employees are able to see us actually go through each platform and make their enrollments to see exactly what the capabilities of the system are. And then most employees just take it and run with it. Of course, we're able to answer calls and take calls to help folks walk their way through it. And with every group, we also have employees that simply don't use technology. And so that being said, it's not a scenario of 100% of your employees are going to be using the platform. But what we typically see is about 95% will use the platform, and then the remainders can either sit down with the HR department to help them put their enrollments through, or in some cases we'll give them a paper application and say, all right, fill this out, and then the HR department will manually key it into HRconnection. But again, it's a scenario where we're capturing all of that data and you're able to put it into one single location. So from an administrative standpoint, you're not having to go in and log in as each individual employee to go in and make elections for an individual. It's as simple as going to your employee manager, selecting the pencil next to that person's name, and you're able to go in and make those elections for them. Last thing I'll touch on is the administrative side.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I'll interrupt for just a moment. Just want to remind people that any questions you have, please be typing them into the box on the right-hand side of your screen so we can capture those and try to answer as many as possible. Thanks.
Perfect. Last piece that I'll touch on is the reporting capabilities of the system, and I think this is really where the value comes. From a census data capturing platform, we can report on any information that is within the system. And so what I love about it is there's a section under the human resources for job postings where you give a place for your employees to go out and see what jobs are currently being offered within your organization, giving them a place to volunteer data so that you can see, hey, maybe we have some hidden gems within our organization that would be better to promote from within rather than hire somebody externally. With that, employees can volunteer special degrees, certification that they have, so you're able to just simply come in, I want to run a report on an employee, that any employees that have a master's degree or that have a college degree. What information do I want to capture? So from an elections and plan standpoint, we can instantly run a report to see how many employees have enrolled in the medical plan. What is our cost going to be, rather than having to wait for the carrier to finalize the billing and then send us that first bill, which can take 30, 45 days. Here's how we can instantly have our total expense for our medical, for our dental, for our vision, for all across the board. From integrating with the payroll processor, we take the format that the payroll processor needs to get it to upload that data. We can save the report to be exactly the way that the payroll processor needs it. So we can upload that data in the exact format that they require. Employee changes, attendance report, out of office, total time off requests. We can capture any data that is in the system, and we can create new fields if there are fields that you want to capture that are not typically captured in the standard format. So that's just to say, a lot of employer groups that we work with have had a difficult time capturing data. When we mention the word, I need a census, it doesn't have to be a bad word. This gives you up-to-date address, phone number, email address, way to contact your employees, and it allows them the opportunity to volunteer that information to you. Or if you're an administrator and you don't want them to have the ability to volunteer that information, that they need to come and tell you about it, we can turn that off as well to where the employee can't make changes, but they can still log in and see their changes from an ongoing day-to-day basis. So that's a pretty high-level overview with how it works. What I like to tell folks is you've seen a lot of stuff that you won't have to do. That's part of the excitement of what we do for you is we build out the platform, we load in your benefits, we work with you. We'll send you, tell me what you want to see in your company info or in your holidays and events. We build out the entire platform for you and we roll it out to the employees. We handle the calls from them from a technology standpoint if they're having a hard time logging in or if they've forgotten their username and password. Very easy to come in, go to that specific employee, say, you know what, Barbara's forgotten her password, so let me reset her password for her. Or if we want specific usernames, we can change it to specific usernames that might be their email address, without the @ sign or something like that. So we can customize the system and make it to where employees are only able to see, again, the information that is available to them and have varying roles within the organization that are assigned to the HR staff. And that about wraps up the overview.
Great. Jonathan, just going back to where you were at just now, so if an employee forgets their password, locks themselves out, what have you, does the system help them fix that, or will they need to, at that point, go to the administrator within the company to have that reset?
They can send a password request on the front page if they've forgotten their login information, and it'll be emailed to them.
Okay.
So it's not a required, but again, in that scenario, administrators have access to all of that information as well. So sometimes it might be just as easy to say, let me reset it for you real quick.
All right. Another question on vacation tracking. It's kind of what you were showing us just now was very forward-facing to the employee, but if you, as an employer, don't want to have the employees necessarily using that feature, could you still use it on the back end between, say, human resource and department heads to, at least for those of you to have access to that information per employee?
There is a lot of customization that can be done in that regard, in regards to who we want. Do we want it to be viewed by employees but still use it on the back end? So yes, there are some functions of it. It would just be figuring out what are the specific details in regards to who's going to be entering that data and who would have access to it.
All right, very good. Could you show us what it would look like to add, you've hired somebody, and so now they're going through the probation period. You want to go ahead and enter them into the system so they'll be receiving a notification soon to make their elections.
Sure. So I will simply go to Admin, Employees, Employee Manager, where it's going to show me a list of all my employees, and I'm going to add an employee. And with this, as we build out your site, we can designate which fields are required. So this blue tab are the required fields. And so we'll fill in some basic information, what language we have. I'm going to be an employee, and my date of hire will be 11/12. And then the benefit class will be simply called All Employees. And so with that, the employee, that has captured all the information that I have set as required. And so that employee is in the system. And so the way that I'll do to add an employee so that they're able to enroll online is I'll come and create a Life Events Manager. All of the plans are closed until we open them up for a life event or for that open enrollment. And so that's so obviously so employees can't go in and make benefit changes when they're not allowed to legally. So after I've added that employee, I would come in and create a life event for that employee. Again, tell the system what's the reason for that, the event date, what is the enrollment start date that I'm going to give him. If he's hired 11/2, then he would be eligible, let's say 1/1. Excuse me. So I'm going to hit the submit date. The enrollment start date I would give him from 11/12 until 12/31, or whatever the date that we designate that we have to have it in, until 12/15 for the plan group 2014-2015 that I've set up. And I simply check and let them know which benefits is that employee eligible for and what is the date that it would be effective. And then I could send an email address to that employee to let them know these are the time frames that you'll have to make your enrollments, this is when it would be effective, etc.
So at that point, they receive the email notification. They can go in, make their elections. They can do that from home with their spouse if they want to.
Yep.
And then go through the process that you showed us earlier on as far as making all their elections and confirming it. Then the system will do what?
It sends a notification to whoever we designate within the platform. It'll let HR know John Doe has confirmed his elections, and then that's all that you need to do from an HR standpoint. From a benefit standpoint, what we do on our end is we take those data as we receive the notification as well, communicate that to the carrier, and we typically will send over an election summary page to let you know what the deduction should be. So we do that during the year throughout the new hire process. We send a single open enrollment platform election summary, and then during open enrollment we will send you a file format so that we can upload those deductions into the payroll processing system.
All right, so you pointed out how to add a new employee. What does it take to terminate?
Perfect. From a termination standpoint, it's very easy, and one of the benefits of the system is it doesn't delete the employee completely. It just puts them into the terminated tab. And so if you have an employee that is rehired, we're not looking at having to re-enter all of that information. Simply log in as employee, select the pencil, go to the employment information, enter their termination date, and then save and return. And then that sends a notification to let us know to terminate the employee with all the appropriate coverages, but it allows you to still have access to that employee's information within the system.
And then from there, that information is captured, and of course that would go on that next report once we're notified.
Correct.
Okay, very good. So you were talking about generating a census. Why is a census so important, having that data?
Well, the way that the agency is going to use the census is we want to have an up-to-date census so that we can shop your rates every year. That's a big sell. That's a big job of your benefits consultant, is to go and find you the best rates. But really, it's just about having updated information at any point in time, knowing that your information doesn't have faulty data in it. Of course, it's up to the employee to tell you and to make those changes, but allowing us to get rid of an old address or making sure that we have the appropriate date of birth. And that's really a big reason why the digital online enrollment is taking over, because somebody walks in and hands me a stack of 50 employees' enrollment forms. There's going to be 5 or 6 of them that we just can't read, and we can't understand their numbers. And in a scenario like this, it gives you all of that data at the tip of your fingers, but in a format that you're not going to have. It really takes away the possibility for bad data because of handwriting.
Okay. So having access to that information is power, I guess you could say, and then it allows employers to, and as you said, the consultant to be able to utilize that information to, whether it's shopping at renewal or what have you, it's readily available. You don't have to rely on anyone else.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. We have quite a few more questions coming in, so let's see how many we can rattle off here. Okay. So, what HR payroll systems do we have interface relationships already set up with to transfer information from HRconnection back and forth?
So, I guess the answer to that is I haven't run across one that we couldn't work with. It's not a direct integrated platform. It's not an EDI automated feed, but what it does is we build a report to match exactly what the carrier or the payroll processor needs. And so, just spoke with Paylocity this morning. Paylocity said, all right, we need it to for the employer to be able to upload it, we need it to have it in this exact Excel format. And so we send it to them in that exact Excel format. So as far as giving you a list of exactly what companies, I haven't run into one that we haven't been able to integrate with, but obviously that's done all in a one-off basis. But we work with the payroll processor to make sure that we line it up and get it in sync so that it'll match with what you're currently doing and not cause more headaches than what we're fixing.
All right, so it sounds like the report can be configured to meet the needs of the entity receiving the information.
Absolutely. You just said it better and with fewer words than I did.
Oh, all right. Okay, so here's another one. Can we create and schedule email messages and notifications to automatically be sent at different intervals from the hire date? So basically set up automatic notifications to happen with particular messages.
So there are not automated emails that can go out, but what you can do is you can send out manual email elections reminders to employees. And so with that, obviously with their email addresses in the system, you can come in and customize the email message that you want to have go out. You can run reports. Let's say we're during open enrollment time. You run a report that's an unconfirmed elections report. So you can get that report that says, all right, of your 100 employees, these 15 employees have not confirmed their elections. And so you could simply come in and say, all right, I want to send a message to these 3 emails, to these 3 folks or 15 folks, and let them know you have 3 days reminder remaining to confirm your elections. Log in here. So it can't be set up automated, but you can email out through the system on a manual basis.
Okay. Do we have relationships that are set up with banks that allow for online HSA enrollment, or do the enrollees have to visit the bank itself?
So what we do with HSAs, typically for new hires, is it depends on what the bank requires. If they require a paper format, then we build the HSA platform where they tell the system how much they want to contribute to that to their HSA account, and then at the end, when they're prompted, if they've elected an HSA benefit, they'll be prompted to fill out that application. And then that application is turned into HR, and then HR would communicate that to the HSA supplier, or it could be turned into, to Mark and communicate that as well. So it really just depends on the bank and what their requirements are. We can build in a link that links directly to the banks, but they would have a separate username and password for the bank. So it wouldn't be an integration that would be carried just for HIPAA violation or HIPAA. We can't do that. But we can work with you to make that as efficient as a process as we can.
Okay. Can email campaigns be sent out through the system to remind employees of benefit enrollment deadlines? I think you just showed that to us, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then to go further, can it be customized to specific employees? And I think you may have just shown that. So for example, all who have not enrolled or all who are eligible for a specific benefit. So that's a good point. So we're in open enrollment, and maybe we have 100 employees to enroll, and 75 of them actually followed the instruction, but we have 25 stragglers. We could actually be sending out notifications to them saying, hey, you need to get this done.
Yep. So it gives you kind of a template. This is a friendly reminder that you need to confirm your elections, log on to. But again, you can, and it'll have their exact name, but you can come in and customize it. But we'll send a notification directly to them that says, hey, we need to send this out. So you'll see right here, I'm actually not on here, Jonathan Edwards, because I just confirmed my elections a few minutes ago.
Okay.
And so because I've already confirmed, it's just not going to include me on this list.
Okay, very good. So you could say, hey, these are the people that are going to get this message, or you could just pick out one in particular and send them the message, a separate message, a custom message, what have you.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Reporting, I know at the Employer Summit that we had last month, one thing that we talked about, especially for large employers, is the 6056 reporting, where there's going to be a lot of information asked of employers to provide to the federal government, and it's really a way for them to kind of track information as people are attempting to apply for subsidies on the state exchanges. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I actually met with the Xywave team, the HRconnection team, about 2 weeks ago, and they're asking us, what are you hearing? You're out there using the platform. What are you hearing are the things that employers want the most? And 6055, 6056 reporting is one of the things that we're being asked for. That because it's such an unknown, but we're beginning in 2016, we're going to be required to report for the 2015 year what exactly, who did we offer benefits to, what did they take, and if you've sat down and tried to enroll folks on healthcare.gov, they're taking folks at their word, and so they're going to be using employers as a as a check safe for have these employees that are saying they're not being offered coverage where they indeed offered coverage, and so with that, we need to have that information readily available to provide to the carriers or to the IRS. And so with that, the HRconnection system is being currently worked on to make sure that we're capturing all of the data. That's a release that they plan on the beginning of January, but that to make sure that throughout the entire year we're capturing all the information that is required. So it should make it very easy to, instead of that being a hectic time of we've got to get all this information together, it should be just as simple as running a single report that we've customized to match exactly what the IRS needs, and make that a very easy decision for you. And we've seen groups that are out there charging $5,000 to, they're saying they'll help you track your information for the year for $5,000, and so that's where we're trying to, we'll have that capability within the system where it's just simply running a report out of your HRconnection system rather than having to go to a third party.
And if I'm not mistaken, that is a month by month, correct? They want to know from month to month who was in and all that demographic information.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. One other thing that came up is total compensation. You talked about a total compensation statement. Can you go a little further on that?
Yep. So total compensation statements are a great way of showing employees the value of what you're doing above and beyond their salary. And so with the data that we're capturing within HRconnection, which can also be used in combination of adding some custom reports, I can capture all of that information and we put it into a booklet. Typically it's a 2 to 3 page booklet where you're able to write a letter to the employees, print it off and have it nicely bound to deliver to those employees that says, all right, you make $50,000 a year with me, but the benefits that we provide you and what we pay for your medical, your dental, your vision, your parking garage, your employee lunches that we provide, or whatever benefits that you're providing, we can capture that all into one system. So we can say, while your salary is $50,000, your benefits are $28,000, and so your total compensation is 39% of your total compensation. So really give them, those are made up numbers, but give your employees something on paper that shows them, what you're looking at going to another employer for a 25-cent an hour raise. But be sure to calculate the total value of the compensation that we're providing you. It doesn't just cost us $50,000 a year to have you with us. It costs us $80,000 a year, and this is what we're doing above and beyond to provide it to you. And so a lot of the capturing of data within HRconnection simplifies that process. So a lot of groups want to provide total comp statements, but when we say, all right, well, here's the data that we need you to provide to us for each employee, how much medical what medical tier they're paying, what is the employer cost versus the employee cost, breaking it down, it takes quite a while to capture that data, where within HRconnection it's just a matter of running a report.
So I've seen those spreadsheets of here to the employer, this is all the information we need to gather, and then we can put it into a nice pretty format for you. But if we have HRconnection in place, much of that has already been gathered, and so requirements on the employer becomes considerably less.
It's just much easier to be, it's just a much more organized way of capturing data.
Yeah, okay, great. And then, of course, if you're doing that on an ongoing basis, maybe some employers do that in December or every July or whatever it might be, then you've kind of set up a system where you can make this happen annually.
Yep.
Okay, great. Another question. Here we go. I think this one is probably a little bit more for me than Jonathan. A question came up. What is the cost of the program per employee? On average, it's about $3 per employee per month is the cost, and that can vary just a little bit. So if you're interested in the system, you definitely want to contact one of us here at Helbling Benefits Consulting, and we can kind of walk through what it is you're interested in, make sure that we're on the same page, and then we can give you that specific number for your group. So that's pretty much the answer to that particular question. I know, and again, if you were at our summit, the cost of these systems can range. From if you do it through a carrier, but it's not customizable in any way, doesn't include probably many of your ancillary benefits, such as dental, vision, things like that. They may give it to you for free. From there, you use a third party, such as HRconnection, or you can use a private exchange, and the cost will range from usually $3, though that's on the very low end, to probably more like $6, $7, $8. So that's kind of just how it looks in the industry in general. But we'd be happy to talk to you about that. Interestingly enough, we have quite a few of our clients that are currently enrolling in the system, and so that takes a lot of data and information, and that kind of brings us back to why Jonathan works with us. He is very good at making this all happen, and so we're excited to have him really put the expert face on what we do with HRconnection. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Be mindful of your time here. Again, we're going to be sending out these questions to all of you who did attend today. So, Jonathan, I want to thank you for being a part of this today, and everyone, please know that Jonathan is available. If you and your company are really wanting to take a much more serious look at this, we can definitely schedule time where we have Jonathan present directly to you, and we have two-way conversation, and have you really have an opportunity to investigate it to see if it's the right fit for you and your company. Please do not feel limited by who your employees are or what you do as a business. We have done this with blue-collar companies, manufacturing companies, and it has worked. All right, so Jonathan, thanks again.
Sure.
Again, if you have questions, just let us know here at Helbling Benefits Consulting. All right. As we wrap up, we want to let you know a few things. We will not be hosting a webinar in December. course, we'll all be turning our attention to the holidays, so it's going to be a busy and hopefully a fun and enjoyable month for everyone. Watch for webinar dates to come in 2015. I'm sure you'll be hearing from Josh yet again. And of course, we want to just wish you all a very wonderful Thanksgiving with friends and family, and we do look forward to having you join us again very soon. Thank you.